The gates groan. Torches spit in a black wind as riders pour through the Salarian gate. For the first time in 800 years, Rome is prey. Alaric's men fan through marble streets. Prayers crumble into ash. How did a mud-born city build? 2 infants, a she-wolf, a river's edge. Brothers grow into rivals. One draws a furrow, the other crosses it. The first Roman law is a murder. Romulus lifts a bloodied plow handle and names a city after himself. Daring gods in purple come from the north. Etruscan augurs trace birds. Sewers and temples rise. But arrogance coils under the crown. When Lucius Tarquinius Superbus seizes power and his house stains honor, the Romans learn a bitter word that will outlive monarchs. An iron vow beside the Tiber. No more kings. 2 consuls will share 1 year, their power checked by time and rivals. A fragile idea hardens. Law above man. Lucius Junius Brutus leads, then dies for it. Discipline becomes a religion. Families teach mos maiorum, duty, thrift, courage. The legion learns to bend, not break. Allies are rewarded with roads, contracts, and a path to the Roman name. Conquest turns into invitation.
In a limestone gorge, the army is trapped. At the Caudine Forks, proud Romans file under a yoke, stripped of swords, drowning in shame. Yet humiliation becomes steel. They remake tactics, carve switchbacks through the Apennines. A king from Epirus lands with elephants that thunder like storms. At Heraclea and Asculum, Pyrrhus wins and bleeds. Another victory like this, and I am undone. Rome refuses ransom, rebuilds ranks. Across the sea, ships swarm from Carthage, bronze-clad prows, purple traders, a merchant empire that breathes salt. Rome learns to fight on water, nailing boarding ramps to decks, turning sea battles into brawls. Hannibal swears hatred as a child. Then he climbs the world. Men and horses claw ice on the Alpine passes. A gray mammoth steps onto Italian soil. At Cannae, the Roman center implodes, 80 and refuses to die. Fabius shadows without striking. Time becomes a weapon. Then a young general sails the war back to Africa. At Zama, Scipio breaks the elephant charge and shatters Carthage's will. The Mediterranean victory pours grain, gold, and slaves into the city. Villas fatten, small farms choke. Senators auction provinces for profit. Soldiers return to find their plots swallowed by estates. The Republic expands. Tiberius Gracchus lifts land laws like a mirror to the Senate's face. Crowds roar, sticks and benches rise. Blood stains the Capitoline steps. His brother Gaius follows and meets the Tiber. Reform fails, but Gaius Marius opens the army's gates to the landless poor. Standards glitter, eagles are sworn to. Pay, plunder, and pensions bind men to commanders, not to Rome's silent laws. A professional army views. Sulla turns legions on their own city, kicks in the forum's doors, and posts names on tablets, proscribed. Bounty hunters thin the Senate. Fear becomes policy. He abdicates, oddly calm. On Mount Vesuvius, slaves braid ropes from vines and descend cliffs onto sleeping camps. Spartacus hammers Italy awake for 2 years. Along the Appian Way, 6,000 crucifixes bloom, a warning nailed to stone. Julius Caesar writes his own legend in brisk Latin while fortresses fall. Rivers bridged in days, sieges coiled like steel at Alatia, Vercingetorix's sword laid at his feet. Glory fills the gap where law. The dice hit the table. Caesar crosses south. Pompey rallies the Senate's cause and the wealth of the East. At Pharsalus, dust hangs over broken cohorts. The old order flees, seeking sanctuary. Laurels on his brow, a dictator for life takes his seat.
Knives flicker like fish in a net. 23 wounds later, Julius Caesar lies on the Senate floor, and the Republic breathes a shattered sigh. Octavian, Antony, and Lepidus stitch a pact with ink and fear. Lists appear again. Cicero's tongue is severed and pinned. The killers of Caesar scatter toward Greece. Vengeance rides with arms. Oars bite the Ionian Sea. Cleopatra's sails flash like wings. Antony's line wavers. Agrippa's fireships burst through. At Actium, Octavian wins an empire by water. Augustus. Augustus hides monarchy within ritual. He shrinks legions, fixes taxes, settles veterans, and builds an empire of habit. Governors audited, roads patrolled, praetorians guarding the palace gates. Feared, not wished. Concrete pours like controlled volcanoes. Aqueducts stride valleys, amphitheaters roar. Markets, baths, and sewers knit millions into one rhythm. Behind many arches stands a quiet architect, Agrippa life. Nero sings while districts smoke, then blames Christians and nails them to gardens of fire. Domitian rules by fear, murdered by his own. Succession by whim invites fate to govern. The empire runs on.
Under Trajan, eagles march to the Danube, batter Dacian walls, and haul new gold to the Forum. The empire reaches its farthest horizon. Senators cheer. Yet every mile gained demands a mild strain. Hadrian turns from conquest to contour. He traces the edges with forts and ditches, sketches vigilance across moor and desert. On Britain's northern ridge, stones become a sentence. This far, harden into burdens. Between meditations, Marcus Aurelius fights along the Danube, while pestilence empties streets from Egypt to the Rhine. The Antonine Plague thins ranks and coffers. Germanic raids test frozen frontiers. Then the wheel shatters. Emperors rise and fall in months. Coins lose silver and trust. Palmyra and Gaul split away. Aurelian claws the pieces together. Walls Rome itself, and wins humming under marble. Diocletian divides power by 4, fixes prices by edict, and binds sons to fathers' trades. Bureaucracy swells like armor on a weary body. Order returns, at a cost. New capitals in which all orbits. Constantine sights a cross above the Tiber and rides to the Milvian Bridge. Tolerance becomes law. Bishops advise emperors. He plants a glittering capital on the Bosporus, facing the sunrise, while Rome keeps its statues.
Pressed by Huns, Gothic families beg refuge across the Danube and are starved, cheated, enraged. At Adrianople, cavalry swallows Roman lines. Emperor Valens falls in the heat. Barbarians are no. Visigoths sack Rome. Vandals sail from Africa and strip her bronzes. Tax ledgers thin to ghost ink. In Ravenna's marsh, Odoacer removes a boy named Romulus Augustulus and sends the imperial regalia east. No trumpet. Yet the idea persists. Laws copied, languages braided, calendars ticking, arches still pouring water. In Constantinople, emperors call themselves Romans for 1,000 more years. What then is Rome? A city of brick and blood?